This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so we'll start with this, right? We'll start with question number 1, part 2, right? So part 2 says how different types of economic systems answer the questions, what goods and services will be produced, right? So now what are they asking? In question number 1, they asked you, right? In question number 1, they asked you what are the 3 basic economic questions. Now here they are asking how are the economic systems, right? How is one economic system going to answer the question of what to produce? That is this first question, what to produce in what quantity. So how do these economic systems answer this, right? So it's a very simple thing, right? You have 3 types of main economic systems. You have a market economic system. How does a market economic system, right, a market economy, how do they answer this? What do you all think? How does a market economy decide what goods to produce? What do? A market economic system, right, they will decide, right, they will decide based on what? Exactly, based on price mechanism, right? They will decide based on price mechanism. They will produce the goods, right? Produce the goods that are the most profitable, right? The most profitable goods. So they, in a market economy, what would happen? In a market economy, right, they want self-interest. They're looking at their profit, right? So what will they do? They will look at what is the most profitable good and they will go and produce that. Then how does a planned economic system answer this? The second type. How does a planned economic system answer? Hmm? Give me a second. Exactly. A planned economic system will use with the central planning authority, right? They have someone called the central planning authority, right? So the planned economic system, right? Okay, so I'll say a planned economy, right? What will they do? They will decide based on the planning mechanism, right? Based on the planning mechanism is what they would decide. Based on that, right, what goods will they produce? They will produce the goods, exactly, goods that give the greatest, what? The greatest social welfare, right? Or the social benefit, greatest social wealth. This is what a planned economy would do. Then how does a mixed economy does this? Now, mixed economy, I'm not going to write, right? But remember, a mixed economy, okay, it's a combination of both of this. In a mixed economy, you have the private sector and you have the public sector, the government. So the private sector will produce goods based on the price mechanism. They will produce whatever that is most profitable. And the planned and the government, the public sector will, right, produce based on social welfare, right? Mainly using the price mechanism, but there will be some sort of government intervention, right? Just like Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka also, whenever we are going to produce anything, what do we do? What do we do? We produce based on a price mechanism, right? Whatever goods that gives us the most profit is what we go and produce. So, and then government will intervene. They will put some rules and regulations and do something to make sure it is all fair. What about a traditional economic system? Don't even think of a traditional economic system. You all will not need that in these areas, right? So traditional economic system is just there for a namesake, right? This is the thing, the Vedas and those people, right? So you don't really have to look into that. Don't even think too much. They will not ask. Okay. Then you have this question number 3, an easy one. Okay, we did this in MCQs as well. What are the 3 basic functions of price in a market economy? There are 3 functions. What are the 3 functions? Number 1 is the signaling. See, they're asking what are the functions. So when they're asking what are the functions, you don't have to go and explain. So it's signaling, right? That is function number 1. Then you have function number 2, right? Signaling or informative is the same thing. Then you have incentive function, and then you have the third one, rationing or allocative, right? So rationing or allocative, both are the same. So those are three functions, right? We discussed this when we discussed the MCQs. Okay. The fourth one. Fourth one says, what is meant by law of increasing opportunity cost? How do you explain the reasons for this law? Now, this is an interesting question, right? So I'll get this part here, right? Okay. Question number 4. They're asking, what is meant by the law of increasing opportunity cost? What do you all think? What is law of increasing opportunity cost? What does that do? In the question 3, if you explain, is it wrong? It's not wrong if you explain, but why are you wasting time? They're asking, what are the 3 functions? So don't waste time explaining that. If you name the 3 functions, it's more than enough. You'll get your 3 marks. The question word is important. That is where people run out of time, right? Okay, question number 4. They're asking, what is meant by law of increasing opportunity cost? What is law of increasing opportunity cost? Right? Law of increasing opportunity cost is where, right? Now, if you have a, let's say you have a PPC, right? Let's say you have 2 goods X and you have good Y. So every time you're increasing the amount of one good, right? Now, let me mark this. Let's mark this as 1 point, this as another point, this as, okay, another point, this as another point, and then this final. So if you look at this graph now, my graph is a little bad, but okay, let me see if I can get a good diagram from the internet. Give me a second. Okay. Increasing opportunity costs. Second. Okay. Got a diagram. Okay. Okay, we'll use this diagram, right? So okay. How can't I expand this? Okay, this diagram. Now, through this diagram, I'll explain you, right? I'll explain you the what. Is my audio clear or is there like a disturbance around? Safe, right? Is it bad? Fine. I think it's okay. Yeah. Okay. Right. So this question, increasing opportunity cost. Now, if you look at this, right? If you look at this question over here, right? Every time you're increasing the production, right? Let's say you're moving from this point, right? Let's say you were at this point, right? You were at this point, and then you're moving to point here, right? If you're moving from this point to this point, when you're increasing cameras by 10 units, how much of mobile phones do you let go? A very little. When you increase cameras by another 10 units, now you have to let go, let's say 2 units of mobile phones. When you increase cameras by even more, now you have to let go, let's say even more units. So every time you increase, right? Every time you're increasing 1 unit by an equal quantity. Okay, give me a second. Let me erase this thing that is here. Okay, so if you look at this diagram clearly, every time you're increasing the production of cameras, right? By every time you're increasing the production of cameras by 10, 10, 10, and 10, the amount of mobile phones that you have to let go keeps on increasing. This is what we call increasing opportunity cost. In other words, the law of increasing opportunity cost. What is the law of increasing opportunity cost? The law of increasing right? The law of increasing opportunity cost is saying, right, when we increase the production, right, production of one unit, right, of one unit by a fixed amount, right, by a fixed amount, the amount of, okay, okay, we'll say, okay, let me word it better. Okay, when we increase the production of one unit by a fixed amount, the amount of the other good, right, amount of the other good that has to be foregone, that has to be foregone increases. Every time we increase cameras by, let's say, 10 units, the amount of mobile phones that we have to let go keeps on increasing. This is what we call what? The law of increasing opportunity cost, right? The law of increasing opportunity cost. So then what are the reasons for this law of increasing opportunity cost? Now the question is asking you, not that, no, they're asking you what is meant by the law of increasing opportunity cost. How do you explain the reasons? Now, what are the reasons? Anyone? What do you all think? What do you all think the reasons for the law of increasing opportunity cost is? Huh? Exactly. It's because there are two main reasons, right? Number one, right? Reasons. Okay, the two main reasons. Number one is that you have heterogeneous resources, right? So heterogeneous, or in other words, non-homogeneous, right? So heterogeneous resources. The resources in the two industries, the land, labor, capital, entrepreneurship, right? The resources in these two industries are different. That is number one. Then what is number two? Number two is that the resources efficient for one industry is not efficient for the other industry. For example, maybe labor, right? Labor that you can use in one industry, resources are efficient for one industry, resources, let's say, that are efficient for one industry is not efficient for another industry. And then maybe number three, you all can say there is differences in technology. You can say all of that, right? So make sure you all highlight the first 2 points first, right? Highlight that technology. So because of these reasons, the opportunity cost keeps on increasing. It's a very basic concept, right? Try to grasp that. That's a very easy concept. That is the law of increasing opportunity cost. You all have to know how to define this, and then you all have to know what are the reasons for this law. Okay. Then coming back to number 5. Not coming back, moving on. So distinguish between a bad, a good, an economic good, and a free good. All what you have to do is properly define these. What is a bad? What is a good? What is an economic good? What is a free good? How can we come along with this? Okay, 2011 A levels, question number 5. So, question number 5. First thing, what is a bad? What is a bad? What do we say? How can we define this thing called bad? Hmm? A bad is something that will give you what? Is something that will give you disutility, right? So, or you can say something that gives you negative satisfaction, exactly, right? So, a bad, right, you can say is something that gives disutility, right? Disutility. In other words, you can say utility, or you can say negative satisfaction. So that is a bad, right? So it gives you disutility, or in other words, it gives you negative satisfaction. Okay. Then if that is the case, what is a good, right? Okay, what is a good then? Okay, a good is something, right, that gives you positive utility. Exactly, that gives you positive satisfaction. Yes, give me a second. Give me a second. Okay, what is a good? Okay, something that gives you positive satisfaction, right? So something that gives you, and so you can write an example, right? Gives you positive satisfaction. Guys, I'm just writing points here, right? Now this is your final answer has to be a more long answer. This is just points, right? These are just keywords that I want you all to have in your answer. This is not the final answer. This is not what exactly you should go and write. Okay, so then goods are again of two types. What are they saying? Distinguish between a good, a bad, a good, economic good, and a free good. Now these goods can be of two types, right? Goods can be of two types. What are the two types? There only you have economic goods and non-economic goods, right? So free goods and economic goods. Examples for bad. So examples for bad is something like garbage, right? So a garbage is something that you have disutility, right? Having that, it does not give you any sort of satisfaction. You would like to pay to get rid of that. Okay, so that is that. So then what is an economic good? What do you all think? Okay, so we have economic goods. So economic goods, right, are goods that are scarce in supply, right? I'm not going to explain, guys. I'm thinking, not going to type it, right? So hoping you all can figure this out from the answers that is coming in. And then you have free goods. So what are economic goods and what are free goods? I explained this during the MCQs. Economic goods are the goods that are produced using scarce resources. Produced these goods have what? These goods have a opportunity cost, right? So in the production of economic goods, there's an opportunity cost. So example, you can say tables, books, chairs, anything. A free good are goods that are available in abundance. So there is an unlimited supply of these goods, right? There's an unlimited supply of these goods. Things like, let's say, sunlight, air, things like that. There is no opportunity cost when it comes to free goods. So that is what you have to write. So if you can write that, they will give you 1 mark for each of these. To writing what a bad is, a good is, what a economic good, free good. That is how they'll give you your 4 marks here. Okay, someone asked me, is this much enough to put law of increasing opportunity cost? So how do you think that they would give you the answers to write this, right? To get your 6 marks for this question, right? What is meant by law of increasing opportunity cost? How can you explain the reasons? So how they would give you is they would give you 2 marks for explaining what law of increasing opportunity cost is, right? So to explain this, you can write the definition, you can draw the PPC, you can do that. Then in order to, how do you explain the reasons? Now this part, to explain the reasons, they'll give you 4 marks. So ideally, if you can elaborate on 2 of these reasons, right? Heterogeneous resource, if you can explain that a bit more, and then resources efficient for one industry, not efficient for another, if you can explain this even more, right? So then you will get 2 marks each. That is how you get your 6 marks there. Okay, so that is 2011, right? An easy paper there, right? Any questions there? No, right? So we'll move on to 2012. So going on to 2012, did I put the same question? Okay, I've copied and pasted the same question. Give me a, where did my question go? Okay, okay, these questions are wrong. Give me a second. Let me try to get the question. 2012. Okay. 2012, this is the question. Not this. The question is this. Okay. So this is the 2012 question, right? This, how do you define economic resources? How do you classify them? So what are economic resources? Yeah, this part is correct, right? This question is correct. Yes. This is the 2012 question. Yeah, fine. Okay, right. So then this one, how do you define economic resources? How do you classify them? So how do you define what are economic resources, right? So economic resources, right, are the resources that are what, right? So you define, you get 2 marks for that, right? Economic resource, exactly, the limited ones, the ones that are scarce, right? So resources that are scarce, right, compared to unlimited human wants. This is what we call economic resources. And then you can say, yes, it has an opportunity cost and all of that. And then, right, how do you classify them? There are 4 types of economic resources: land, labor, capital, entrepreneurship. So land, labor, capital, and then you have entrepreneurship. Right? Those are the 4 types of economic resources. Entrepreneurship. No. Entrepreneurship. So those are the 4. I'm just giving you a basic thing, right? You have to expand on this and write, right? And then number 2, what are the major functions of an entrepreneur? This is a very common question they ask. They either ask you differentiate an entrepreneur with other factors, or they ask you what are the major functions of an entrepreneur. There are 4 major functions, right? So what are the functions? Number 1, first thing that an entrepreneur does is the entrepreneur combines all the factors of production, right? So you can say an entrepreneur, right, mobilizes, mobilizes the factors of production. Now, mobilizes the factors of production means an entrepreneur combines all the other factors of production. That is number 1. Then number 2, you can say, right, an entrepreneur bears risk, right? That's another function. He bears risk, right? So you have to expand on this, right? Check on your notes. Every note will have that, right? How they bear risk. Then they have another one. They introduce innovation. They come up with new things, right? They don't always do the same thing again and again and again. They introduce innovation. They come up with new things. And finally, they make what? They make policy decisions, or you can say strategic decisions. So those are the 4 main functions of an entrepreneur. Now, same thing, if they ask you to, let's say, differentiate labor with differentiate entrepreneurship with the other factors of production, then also you'll have to write the same thing, right? You don't go and write anything new there. Okay, so that is that. What are the major functions? So you don't really have to expand it a lot. Maybe if you can give it in, let's say, 1 or 2 lines, one function in 1 or 2 lines, you will get your 4 marks. They're not asking you to this thing. What is negative demand at 0 price? I will come to that. That is not a big, that's on economic bads. Okay, that is there. Okay, we have this question number 3. Distinguish between production efficiency. Yeah, there are more than this, right? But these are the main 4 that you all have to write. Then question number 3 is saying distinguish between productive efficiency and allocative efficiency. What are these 2 concepts? So first you have to know there is something called economic efficiency, right? There is something called economic efficiency. In order to get economic efficiency, in order to achieve economic efficiency, we need productive efficiency, right? Productive efficiency, and right, we need productive efficiency and we need allocative efficiency, right? So this is the condition. We need productive and allocative efficiency. Then, okay, what are we now? They're asking you differentiate, right? Distinguish between productive efficiency and allocative efficiency. So what does this individually mean? Yeah. Okay, so economic efficiency, what is the definition? So if I have to give you guys definitions, I'm not going to make you memorize it. It should be there in whatever notes that you have. But in simple terms, right, economic efficiency is about, right, producing the goods that are desired by the economy. Producing, in other words, producing the goods that the society wants at the optimal level, at the most efficient level. Producing the goods what the economy wants at the most efficient level is what we call economic efficiency. Then we have productive efficiency. What is productive efficiency? Productive efficiency is about exactly achieving the maximum, right? So it's about what exactly can we say here? Productive efficiency, anyone? Okay, maximum output. Yes, full employment, full production. What else? But how can you define this? How can you define production efficiency? It is where, right, you utilize, right, utilize all the resources in the economy at the best possible level, right? Utilizing all the resources in the economy at what? Okay, utmost efficient level. Good. So utilize all the resources in the economy in the most, right, in the most efficient level. That is what we can call productive efficiency. So in order to achieve productive efficiency, we have two conditions. You can't just get productive efficiency. There are two conditions to achieve productive efficiency. What are the two conditions to achieve productive efficiency? You have number one, right? You have full employment, number one. What is full employment? Full employment is about getting all the resources in the country, employing everyone. That means labor, land, capital, right? Employing all these resources. And then you have the second one. What is the second one? Full production. So full employment and full production. These are the two things. So once you achieve full employment and once you achieve full production, you are able to achieve productive efficiency. If that is the case, what is allocative efficiency? Allocative efficiency is what? How do you define allocative efficiency? Exactly. Distribution of limited resources based on society's preference. In simple terms, you produce what the society wants, right? So I'm copying. If I find a good answer, I'll copy paste the answer on one, right? So it's distribution of limited resources based on society's preference. What does that mean? In simple terms, that means, right, producing, right? You can say in other words, right, producing what the society wants. That is what we call what the society wants. So then this is what we call allocative efficiency, right? Allocative efficiency. This is productive efficiency. Okay. When to achieve allocative efficiency, what is the condition? The condition is that your marginal benefit should be equal to your marginal cost. To marginal benefit only we substitute price. So or else you can say price equals marginal cost. When you achieve this, you are achieving allocative efficiency. When you achieve allocative efficiency and productive efficiency, then you would achieve economic efficiency. So what is economic efficiency? Once again, economic efficiency is where you produce the goods, right, what the society wants at the optimal level, at the most efficient level. That is what we call economic efficiency, right? To achieve economic efficiency, you have to have productive efficiency, allocative efficiency. Then how do we draw the PPCs for this? So productive efficiency, right? So you can draw a PPC and you can show it. So how do we draw this? You can have a PPC, right? Draw a PPC. You can mark any point on the PPC, right? So any point on the PPC, you can say it's productively efficient, right? But then in order to achieve allocative efficiency, it is only one point. It is a point where the society actually, prefers. So for that only, remember last class, I think I did this, right? We draw a marginal benefit. This is a marginal benefit curve, right? And you draw a marginal cost curve, right? And then you connect this. right? So, and then maybe down also you can draw a point if you want, another marginal benefit and marginal cost. So this point, right? This point over here is allocatively efficient. So every point on the PPC is productively efficient, but only one point on the PPC is allocatively efficient. So where the point where you have both allocative efficiency and productive efficiency, we call that economic efficiency. In this question, it's not really needed to draw the PPC. This question that's simply asking you to explain the distinguish between the two concepts. No? So not really needed. If they ask you to explain, then maybe you can draw the PPC there. I'm just drawing it for your understanding there. Okay. So that is economic efficiency, right? So have a good understanding. This is a very common question that they tend to ask. Then if you go to the next one, okay. Explain the concept of opportunity cost and describe how it relates to the problem of choice between alternative users and scarce resource. Now this I explained when I did the MCQs. Let me see if I have that diagram. Where is that diagram? Okay, this one. Okay, let me try to copy and paste this. Okay, this story, right? So in question number 4, they say explain the concept of opportunity cost and describe how it relates to the problem of choice between alternative uses. So how does opportunity cost relate to all of this, right? So that is what we are going to look at. This is what I explained using this. So remember I told you all of these concepts cannot be studied individually. These concepts are interrelated, right? So what you have to do, how can you start your question, right? So you start off your question by explaining what opportunity cost is. You can say opportunity cost is, right, the cost of the next best alternative when we make a choice, right? And then you can say choice and you can connect it back. So then you can say people have limited resources with unlimited wants. Because of that, the resources that they have is scarce. Now, these scarce resources, you can say, have alternative uses, right? So you can do different things if you want. You can put in a example and explain, right? So you can do that. Then you can say, because of that, you have to make a choice. Because of the choice, there is an opportunity cost. So you can explain that story. Okay, so I'll give you all a 2-minute break because of the azan, and then we'll get back with the next question. Okay. Okay, so we'll move on. Okay, question number 5. Question number 5 is about, right? They're asking you outline the differences between command and market economics. So that's a very easy thing. It's the easiest question that you can get, right? So how does a market economy differ from a command economy? What are the differences here? Market versus command. Exactly. So if you look at number 5, right? If you look at a market economy, right? You just go with the features, you will be able to figure out. So a market economy, one thing you can say, they use price mechanism, right? They use price mechanism. Then you can say the motive here is self-interest. Self-interest is the motive. Then you can talk about there is private ownership, right? Private ownership of property. Yeah, so private ownership of property. Then what else can you say? You can say there is mm, okay, what else can we say? Okay, exactly, consumer sovereignty, right? So we can say this consumer sovereignty. What is consumer sovereignty? Consumer sovereignty means the consumer is the main person in this, right? He decides what goods to be produced. So things like that, right? There are more than this, you all can write. Then if you go into a planned economic or a command economic system, what do we write here? In a planned economic system, right? So in a planned economic system, what do we have? In a planned economic system, number one, we can have things like they use the planning mechanism, right? The planning mechanism. Then instead of self-interest, what is their motive? Their motive is social welfare. They want everyone to do well. Then instead of private property ownership, now what do you have? You have public ownership, right? Public ownership of property. It's the government who owns the resources here, right? Property. Okay, sorry, property. And then you have it's okay without having consumer sovereignty. You can say so. You can say maybe they have limited choice, right? So limited consumer choice, things like that. You can say limited consumer choice, right? Things like that. Okay, there is more than this. You can include that. So with consumer sovereignty, you can say there is freedom of choice also, free entrepreneurship, all of that is there. Yes, yeah, centralization making, decentralization making. So here you can say decentralization making, right? Decentralized decision making, right? There is more to it. I'm saying that I'm just giving you a few key points. Here decentralized, here the next part on this side you can say there is centralized decision making. Yeah, centralization. So if you can write things like that in your answer, you will get your full marks. Right? It's an easy 4-mark question that they have given. Yeah, this one. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I think we're good. So we move on to the next. Okay, guys, if you all have small doubts, I'll explain after the class, okay? Because I'll not stop for one person. After class, I'll clear the small doubts. Okay, right. So then moving on to the next one, 2030. Okay, what is the difference between capital and human capital? Good question. What do you all think? What is capital and what is human capital here? Right? So the difference, capital, what is, if you talk about capital, right? Now, capital is all about the man-made, right? Capital is man-made real assets. Man-made real assets that aid in the production of goods and services, right? So that is capital. It's a physical, tangible things, right? Capital is. Then what is human capital? So human capital, right? Exactly. Human capital is what? Human capital are the knowledge, yes, is the knowledge knowledge, skills, let's say the experience, right? The experience, the competencies, yeah, all of that possessed by a labor unit, by a person. So this is what we call human capital. So if this is the case, right? So this is how you should start off your question. You should start off your question by defining what these two are, right? What is capital? What is human capital? So apart from that, yes, favorable health and all of that. Yeah. And then what should you say? So for this, you will get around 2 marks for properly saying what this is and what that is. And then you should say, right, things like this. Now, human capital, like if you look at capital, it's a tangible thing, right? It's a real asset. But if you look at human capital, it's nothing like that. It's not a tangible thing. It's less tangible. You can give in things like that. Then you can say, okay, what else can we say? Okay, so then you can say this. Then you can say human capital, right, is connected to a person. It's a living thing, right? So if you are to increase human capital, then maybe you can say we can give in more, let's say more training. You can give, let's say, giving on the job experience, right? You can give things like that. Yes, education. Okay, then if you say capital, maybe in order to improve capital, you can say, maybe let's say what, eliminating the depreciated ones. Let's say you can improve things by, let's say, getting better technological related stuff, right? Getting the more advanced technology, right? Those things on capital. But on human capital, you should say education. You should talk about, let's say, things like experience, about training. That is what you have to talk about. So you have to make it, you have to be specific. You have to say human capital is connected to a person, right? But capital is nothing like that. It's not a live resource. Human capital is connected to a live resource. Stock factor and life factor. Okay, yes, you can go there if you want to, right? So capital, you can say, is a stock factor, and then you can say human capital is a living factor, right? So you can give in things like that. So if you give those things, you can get your 4 marks there, right? And then question number 2. Now this paper is a bit hard, right? In what ways does money facilitate specialization and division of labor? Yes, okay. This is question number 1. Okay. Okay. So part 2. In what ways does money facilitate specialization and division of labor? How does this come? Where does this question come from? Money, specialization, and division of labor. And division of labor. So what exactly happened here, right, is there is a nice story, right, on money, specialization, division of labor, right? So what you should do is you have to start here, right? Because I'm hoping you all have a past paper book with you, right? So have that open so you all can see the question. I'm just using the whiteboard here. Okay. Money, specialization, and division of labor. So earlier, what happened, right? Earlier, we had something called the barter system, right? What happened in the barter system? In the barter system, they exchanged goods for goods, right? That is what they did. So you exchanged, goods for goods. That is what we did in the barter system. But then in the barter system, there were a few issues, right? This barter system, there were a few problems in the barter system. What were the problems in the barter system? Right? One main problem in the barter system is that you needed double coincidence of want. Now, when you're exchanging goods for goods, for example, let's say I have rice, right? And I want chicken. So I should have excess rice and I should go and find a person who has chicken. And that person should want rice as well. So only then we can exchange. Only if what I want is there with that guy, and if that guy what he wants is there with me, only then we can exchange. It's not that easy to do trade, right? So there were a lot of drawbacks, right? So there were a lot of drawbacks in the sense problems. So what kind of problems? The main problem, right? The main problem is the need for double coincidence of bonds. Then apart from that, you had a lot of other problems, right? You can't properly measure, it's time consuming, you can't store the goods, right? You had a lot of other drawbacks also. I'll just say other drawbacks. Now because of this, what happened? Because of this issue, right, people were not encouraged to specialize. For example, if I wanted, let's say, if I am good at, let's say, growing rice, I am growing rice, as I'm growing paddy, and if I can't go and exchange my paddy, right? Now, I can't live only with paddy, no. I need paddy and even more things. So then, because of this issue, because of the barter system, because there was an issue, because there are drawbacks, because I can't easily go and exchange my goods, people were discouraged. People were discouraged to specialize in one thing. Now, if I go and produce rice only, it's very hard for me to exchange the excess rice and get the other things. Let's say the vegetables and the fruits and let's say the spices that I want. So because of that, what I did, I had to produce everything on my own. I had to produce rice. I had to produce the vegetables. I had to produce, let's say, the spices that I need. I had to do everything because why? If I go and specialize in one thing, it's very hard for me to exchange and get the other thing. So to solve this, right, to solve these drawbacks, right, as a measure to solve this only, money came in, right? So money was introduced in this case. So when money was introduced, now what happened? Now people they did not need double coincidence of bonds. If you have an excess thing, right? If you have something in excess, you simply can go and sell it, get the money, and go buy what you want. Now you don't have that need for double coincidence of bonds. All that other drawbacks were eliminated. So now what happened? Now I can specialize on something, right? Now specialization, right? Specialization was encouraged because why? It's easy to trade now. If I have more, I can go and sell. I can get the money. With that money, I can go buy whatever I want. So specialization was encouraged. So when there was specialization, what happened? When people began to specialize in one thing, right? Now, as a result of this, there was what? There was large scale production, right? If I am specialized, let's say in garments, I become specialized, and now I have my huge garment factory. I'm not doing anything else. I'm only producing garments, right? So because of specialization, right, large factories were started. So large factories began. As a result of this, when you have a large operation, right? Let's say you're a large garment manufacturer, then what happens? When you're a large garment manufacturer, you can now divide the task into smaller tasks, right? The whole process, you are now able to divide it into very smaller parts. As a result, right? Because large factories were started, and as a result of this, division of labor came into play. So this is the story about how money encouraged, right? So as a result of this, there was division of labor. This is the story that you all will have to write. There was division of labor. So your question once again, what is your question asking? In what ways does money facilitate specialization and division of labor? So in what ways did money facilitate specialization and division of labor? First, you should say there was no money. When you had no money, then you said there were a lot of issues. People did not want to specialize. As a result, money was introduced. So when money was introduced, trade became much easier. People were able to exchange their goods for other things. They can easily sell off their goods, get the money, buy whatever they want. Trade was easy. As a result, people began to specialize. They thought, okay, I will be very good at, let's say, growing rice. I will sell off the rice and get whatever I want, right? So specialization was encouraged. So with specialization, big, large scale factories started. And there was large scale production. Now once you are really specialized in one thing, you will not make one or two, now you are making a huge amount, right? So as a result of this large scale thing starting, then what happened? Because you are a large scale producer, now you can divide the production process into smaller parts, right? Let's say you are a large scale garment manufacturer. You divide the process into very smaller parts, and as a result, what happened? You were able to practice division of labor. So that is how the whole story works. That is how money facilitates specialization and division of labor. Okay, hoping that part was clear. Okay, then this contrast how a market economy and a command economy will try to cope with the problem of scarcity. Now, this question is an easy question, right? All what you have to write here is, right? So in question number 3, I'm not going to explain too much, right? The basic economic problems, right? What to produce, how to produce, whom to produce. You have to explain how does the market now, because of scarcity, economy has to make that choice. Because of scarcity only, economy has to decide what to produce, how to produce, and whom to produce. If they did not have scarcity, they can produce whatever they want. They can decide on whatever method. They can do anything, right? So to answer this question, contrast how a market economy and a command economy try to cope with the problem of scarcity. What should you do, right? You should explain the basic economic problems, right? So how does a market economy answer these basic economic problems, and how does a command economy answer these basic economic problems? That is what you have to do in this question. So how does the market economy answer what to produce, how to produce, whom to produce? How does the command economy answer what to produce, how to produce, and whom to produce? Give me a second, my thing is getting stuck a bit today. I don't know why. Okay. Okay. How does a command economy answer this? Give me a second. Okay. So that is what you have to explain here, right? How does a market economy answer the basic economic problem? How does the command economy answer? You will get your thing. So market economy, you can say what to produce is based on price mechanism, most profitable goods. How to produce is based on, again, price mechanism, whatever that is more cheaper, labor intensive or capital intensive. Whom to produce, you can say, is based on whoever who has the purchasing power. Then command economy, you can say they will use the planning mechanism to decide on what goods to produce. They will produce the goods that gives the greatest social welfare. Then how to produce, again they will look at the planning mechanism based on that they will decide on a way how to produce that gives the maximum benefit to the public. And then again, whom to produce, you can say the government will set the wages and all of that, and they will ensure the goods are distributed fairly. So if you can write in that, you will get in your full marks there. Okay. So that is that. Okay, then question number 4, again a thing that we discussed. Okay. So question number 4 is saying, what conditions must be satisfied if resources are used efficiently in an economy? To use resources efficiently in an economy, what should you talk about? You should talk about productive efficiency, right? What I explained before, productive efficiency, and you have to talk about allocative efficiency. So those are the things that you have to explain here, right? Don't productive efficiency and allocative. If you have achieved productive efficiency and allocative efficiency, you can say that the resources are utilized efficiently, right? So you have to explain this, what I explained before, right? What is the condition for productive efficiency? You have full employment, full production. Then for allocative efficiency, you have, things like marginal benefit equals marginal cost, right? So that is what you have to do. Okay. Okay, fifth question. So what is the fifth question? Fifth question is asking you to explain, right? To explain using a PPC microeconomic and macroeconomic concepts. So what are the microeconomic concepts? What are the macroeconomic concepts? I'll give you very easy things, right? So how does a PPC help to illustrate microeconomic and macroeconomic issues? So what can you do here? Now, very first thing. So first you have to start off. We'll start off with microeconomic concepts, right? Microeconomic concepts. So I will give you the easiest ones, right? Easiest ones you can say things like scarcity, right? Scarcity is a very easy microeconomic concept, right? Then you can show, let's say, opportunity cost, right? Opportunity cost, or you can show, let's say, choice, right? These things can easily be shown on the PPC. Then for macroeconomic concepts, what can you show? For macroeconomic concepts, I'll give you the easy ones again, right? Macroeconomic concepts, you can show easy things like, let's say, economic growth, right? A very easy one to show, economic growth. Then you can show things like exactly full employment. Then you can show things like, let's say, unemployment, recessions, right? So all of that are very easy things to show on a PPC, right? So unemployment, or maybe let's say a recession, you can easily show that on a PPC. So how do you show this? I'm hoping you all do know how to show these basic things, right? So how do you show scarcity, right? So if you are to show scarcity, right, this is how you have to draw it. Draw a PPC, draw a line, show a point outside, right? Then how can you show, let's say, choice, right? To show choice, you draw a PPC, you draw different combinations, and you can say choice, right? So you can mark it A, B, and C, and you can say the economy has decided to go with this point. This is a choice that they have made. So then if you want to show opportunity cost, that also you can show. Then again, how can you show macroeconomic concepts, right? Things like economic growth, right? You can draw this, and then you can show the PPC shifting outward, right? Then things like, let's say, unemployment, okay? You draw a PPC and show a point inside. So easy things like this, you can show that. Okay, so don't you have to define microeconomics? Okay, how does the production possibly help to illustrate microeconomics? If you want, you can define microeconomic and macro. What is microeconomics? What is macroeconomics? And then go on to you. But you have to clearly state that these are the microeconomic concepts. These. So this is how you show it. Then macroeconomic concepts. These are the concepts. This is how we show it. So in very simple terms, you have to show two microeconomic concepts and two macroeconomic concepts. Yes, you have to draw and show. So they're asking you how does it show? They're asking you how does help to illustrate, right? So you have to draw the PPC. How does the production possibility fungi help to illustrate the microeconomy? Illustrate means how does it show in a diagram, right? So you have to draw it and show it on a PPC, otherwise you will not get your. Okay, that is that. Okay, do you want a 5-minute break? Yes, no? Shall we continue? Yeah. Okay, so I'll give you all a 5-minute break, and then I'll start with this one. So we are done with 2013. We have to go with 2014. Okay, so take a 5-minute break and then come. Okay, back, yes. Can we start? Yeah. Okay, so on this one, okay, so I think I'll have to put in a extra date. I don't think I can complete the entire what essay questions today, right? So I'll l- fix a date and I'll put that. So I also have to be free. I also have to figure out a day that I'm free. Next Wednesday, I ideally want to start unit number 2, right? So I'll have a class before next Wednesday, right? So probably at the night only. I'm looking at let's say Saturday. We'll see if I can have somewhere around, let's say, Sunday night. I'll see somewhere around Sunday night and I'll try to put it. Okay. Okay. 2014 question number 1. 2014 question number 1 says, explain why societies face the problem of choice, right? Okay, so why do they face the problem of choice? Again, what you have to explain is this same story, right? uh that you okay, recording is there. Yes, I'll upload the recording. That part is fine. Guys, don't get used to watch recordings too much as well. Try to get it from the class itself, because watching recordings is another waste of time, right? Okay, so again, what you have to explain, this same story is what you have to explain here, right? Why do economies, right, why do they have to make a choice? So if you can explain this story, right, you will get your marks, right? What are they asking? They are asking in 2014 question number 1, explain why societies always face the problem of choice. Why do they face the problem of choice? Because they have limited resources, right? Those, and they have unlimited wants. Because of that, their resources are scarce. The scarce resources have different uses, right? They have alternative uses. Because of that, they can't do everything that they want. They have to make a choice, right? So that story, if you can properly explain with the proper technical words, you will get your marks, right? This diagram, with this diagram, that you can answer a lot of questions that usually comes on your way. Okay, so this is what you have to answer, what you have to write for question number 1. Okay. Okay, then in question number 2, again, same thing. How does entrepreneurship differ from other factors of production? So what should you do? Again, you go with, right, what are the functions of an entrepreneur? Remember the functions of an entrepreneur, right? So you can say that an entrepreneur does these, but the other factors of production do not do these things. So that is how you should explain this, right? Second. Okay. Right? So for the second question, when they're asking you how does entrepreneurship differ from other factors of production, you should say an entrepreneur, right? An entrepreneur, let's say an entrepreneur mobilizes the factors of production while, right, while the other factors of production are simply employed in the production process. So something like that, if you can write, you would get your marks. Are simply employed in the production process. This is how you can change your answer. Same way for bearing risk. Again, you can say an entrepreneur, his return, right? He will either get a profit or a loss. But the other factors of production, they will get a definite return, right? Then you can say introduce innovation. You can say an entrepreneur comes up with new innovations while the other factors of production do not. Then you can say making policy decisions. An entrepreneur will engage in policy decisions and do all of that, while the other factors of production are simply following whatever decisions made by the entrepreneur. Okay. If they make the choice of the factory, well, the opportunity cost is farm and playground. No, opportunity cost is only the thing of your next best alternative, not the everything. So if they choose the factory, if the next best is the farm, only that is the opportunity cost, not the farm and the playground both. And so don't get that confused. So that is number 2. Then question number 3, they're asking distinguish between capital and investment. That is an interesting question. Distinguish between capital and investment. What do you all think? What do you all think we should write here? Difference between capital and investment. Capital and investment. What is this? What is the difference here? Exactly. You start off with the definition, right? So you say, right? What can you say? What kind of things can you say? Okay, capital is a flow. Stock concept, investment is a flow concept. Fine. But what else? So you start off with a basic thing, right? So you start off right now. How do you answer? How do you structure your answer for this? Right? You define capital, right? You define capital, what capital is, and all of that. And then you can say, right? And then you can talk about, right, the features of capital. That capital is what? Capital is a productive resource. It is subject to, let's say, depreciation. It is a man-made factor, right? So talk about a few features of what capital is, right? The features of capital, right? That's there in the my theory tutor also. You will have something called features of capital, right? So write that, and then what should you go and do? So after that, now you touch on what investment is. What is investment? Investment is the process of investing, or is the process of formulating capital. Now, for example, right, when you form capital, right, forming capital means investment. Where you're creating capital, where you're creating new capital, that is what we call as investment, right? So investment is what? The process of forming capital. In other words, now capital gets depreciated. No? The machines, the buildings that you have, right? Those keep on getting depreciated. So through investment, you would restore them. You put in more capital. So that is what we call investment. Investment is, right, the process of, you can say, okay, so if I am to give this, exactly, recovered by investment, can give that as well. So you can say investment, in simple terms, I'll give it to you. Investment is the process, of what? Of forming capital, right? Of forming capital. So in other words, what does this do? This increases, right? Increases the amount of capital stock, right? For some reason, my laptop is getting stuck today. Okay. The forming capital stock. This is what we call the investment, right? So then apart from that, what other things can we write here? We can write things like what? So capital, we can say, is a stock concept. Investment is a flow concept. Now what is the difference there? What is a stock concept and a flow concept? Capital, we say, is a stock concept. Anyone? What is the difference? What is the difference between a stock concept and a flow concept? This is a stock concept. Then investment, we say it is a flow concept. What is the difference here? What does stock and flow mean? Hmm? Anyone? Anyone? Someone? Stock is real assets? No. Exactly. A stock concept means, right? When we talk about a stock concept, what does this mean? A stock concept means you can measure it at a given point of time, right? Can be measured at a given point of time. So I can say today, right? The at today, at this date, at this time. So today's date, I can say as at 25th November, let's say 6:33 p.m. The amount of capital in this country is this much. I can measure it. I can say this is how much that is there, right? That is what we call a stock concept. At this point of time, this is how much we have. But investment is not a stock concept. Investment is a flow concept. What is a flow concept? A flow concept means, right, you should you are measuring this at a period of time, right? So measured, right, in the period. I can say the investment during the month of November. Can I say the investment at 25th November at 6:55 p.m. is this much? No. But I can say the investment in the month of November is this much. During a period, month is a period. During the year, I can say The investment in the country for the year 2020 was this much. So that is what we call a flow concept. When you measure something, right? Measuring it in terms of a given period, right? That is what we call a flow concept. You measure it in terms of a given period. But if you measure it at a given point, it is a stock concept. So that is another difference, right? You can't say investment at this point, this time is this much. You can't say. But capital, you can say. The amount of machinery or buildings at this point, at this date, there is this much of this thing. That can definitely be said. Then what can you say? Then you can also talk about things that capital gets depreciated. Yeah, exactly. We can say like in the year 2013, the year 2013, this much was investment. That is a flow concept. Stock concept exactly at that point. Okay. Then apart from that, you can say capital gets depreciated, right? So capital gets depreciated, right? You know the value of capital falls with the usage, right? Capital gets depreciated and is restored, right? It's restored using investment, right? Restored using investment. So that is another thing. So you can give in things like that. Now this is a somewhat of a hard question. That's not a question that you would generally expect and go to write, right? So this is again 2014. Okay, that's it. You can write in things like that, you should be able to get in your marks. Okay, 2014, there's actually 2 questions from part unit number 1. Okay, voice getting stuck. Voice getting stuck. Maybe either my connection is bad or maybe your connection is bad. I'm not very sure which one is bad. If it's getting stuck for everyone, then my connection is bad. If it's getting stuck only for you, then your connection is bad. Is it getting stuck for everyone or is it just for one person? Yeah, voice is okay. Chef can hear, right? So I think then maybe your connection, guys. If you, I understand with the rain and all of that, there can be, connection issues. So maybe try leaving and joining again, or maybe trying to switch your connection. Maybe go from a hotspot to, I don't know, a Wi-Fi or I don't know something. Right? Try that. That is number 3 done. Then number 4. That's an easy question. Okay. What measures can be taken to improve productivity of human resources in a country? Yeah. What can we do to improve the productivity of human resources? What can we do? Things, easy things, right? So you can give what? You can provide training. You can provide, let's say, education, right? What else can we do? Right? Then you can, let's say, provide incentives to motivate these people, right? Provide incentives. Yeah, you can introduce new technology, right? You can, through new technology, you can get better output from them. You can improve their productivity. So introducing new technology, right? Yes, exactly. The health and nutrition, you can improve their health and all of that, because the more healthy they are, right, the more productive they are. So why does, some officers, they give you, sometimes some officers on this thing, the lunch is from the office, right? So you can do that, right? Improving health. So improving health and this thing. So all of that you can give in as reasons. So they're asking what measures, right? So don't go and explain when they ask you what, right? Remember, you have to state. You don't have to go and explain what this is and, in detail. No. If they want to explain, they will ask you, explain the measures that can be taken. When they're asking you what measures, you just have to state what the measures are. Yes, division of labor and specialization can be used. You can say yes, maybe investing in employee welfare, like keeping them more happier, providing, let's say, incentives, bonuses, right? The more happier they are, the better they will be able to do it. So how does improving, okay, introducing new technology. So if you introduce new technology, right, so sometimes when a person is working, let's say, with an old machine, right, he's not productive. So let's say if you're working with a typewriter, You can only do a small thing. But now let's say you come up with let's say new technology, give him a very good laptop, right, to get his thing done. Now he's able to get more work done, no? So he's more productive. That is how that happens. Yeah, you can give yeah, all your reasons should be fine. Okay, better employee relations, all of that. Okay, number 5. Okay, easy one. Explain how the choice of production technology is solved in the market economy. In simple terms, they're asking, right? How does the market economy answer the question how to produce? How to produce in a market economy? That is what they are asking. So how to produce in a market economy? So how to produce in a market economy? Again, keyword should be they decide it based on price mechanism, right? So based on price mechanism, you have to use this, right? That is one important thing that you have to use, price mechanism. Then you have to say whatever method that is cheaper, whether it is labor or whether it is capital, whatever method that is cheaper, right? The method with, we'll say, the least cost, right? So least cost means the method that increases the profit the highest. So they will go with that method. That is what you have to explain, right? So if you can expand on this, right, your note should have my theory tutor also has, right? So whatever note you all have will have the expansion on this. So this is what you have to expand here, that price mechanism and this part. Okay, this improvement in the PPC shift to the right. Yeah, because of improvement of productivity, yes, PPC will shift to the right. Number 4 can happen. Okay, that is 2014 question number 1. Then 2014, they've given you 2 questions from unit number 1. Even question number 2 is from unit number 1. Now, question number 2 is actually a very interesting question. It's on the PPC and it's a nice question. Okay, so this is question number 2. It's all about a PPC. The entire thing is about PPCs and drawing it and opportunity cost and all of that. Okay. The first part is saying explain production possibility curve using a diagram. So first of all, you have to start off with defining what a PPC is. So what is a PPC? You say a PPC, right, shows the maximum possible combination of two goods that can be produced in economy by utilizing all of its resources to the fullest. So you say that. Then you can draw a PPC, right? So I'm just explaining the answer. I'm hoping you all can do this. And then you can also say the assumptions. What sort of assumptions? So first you start with defining, right? I'm just telling you how to approach this question. Give me a second. Okay. To approach this question, you first start by defining what a PPC is, right? So you can say whatever definition that is there in your tudes or anything, right? You start by defining, then you draw a diagram, right? So draw a PPC. You can show that the PPC will, shape of the PPC will change based on the opportunity cost. It can be a straight line PPC, it can be a concave PPC, right? Things like that. And then you can talk about, let's say, the assumptions of a PPC, right? You assume that there are only two goods that is being produced. You assume the resources are used to the fullest. You assume the technology is constant. You assume the productivity is constant, right? You can assume those kind of things. So you draw this assumptions and all of that, you will get your 4 marks there, right? That is that. Then you have again question number 2 is what we've discussed before. Explain the reasons for increasing opportunity cost when resources are utilized in production. So what are the 2 reasons? What are the main reasons for increasing opportunity cost? Once again, reasons, exactly, heterogeneous resources or non-homogeneous resources. What else? Second, my laptop is stuck. Okay, we have this. Then we can say the productivity, right? Difference in technological methods, yes. Then you can say difference in efficiency, right? All what we discussed before, right? Difference in efficiency, then difference in technology, right? All of that you can explain. So if you can explain these 3 points, you should get your marks there. So that's another easy Question. Law of diminishing marginal returns. Law of diminishing marginal returns. Don't really go and put it into this, right? I think these 3 points should be enough. Okay. Okay. Then you have question number 3. Question number 3 is saying explain the following events by using production possibility curve diagrams. Okay. Question number 3. Okay, so question number 3, they are talking about different PPCs. So what is the first one about? Returning of significant number of professionals who had been in foreign countries. What do you think will happen to the PPC when that happens? When the first one happens? This is 2014, question number 2, part 3A. If a lot of people who were there in the country, it says returning of significant number of professionals who had been in foreign countries. What happens? When these people come, what happens? The amount of labor that the country has increases. No, the factor endowment increases. There's more people now, there's more labor resources. So as a result, your PPC will shift outward. So you draw a PPC. My PPC is bad. Draw a PPC and show a outward shift. That is number 1. Then number 2, destruction of capital resource of a country due to a natural disaster. How do we show this? Number 2. When there's a natural disaster, when there's a destruction, what happens? The amount of labor, the amount of capital, right, that decreases, right? The factor endowment falls. So the amount of resources falls. As a result, PPC will shift inwards, right? Back. Okay, and then you have this. Yeah, you have to explain the story. So that is what I said. In number 1, you can say when there is more people coming in, the factor endowment increases as there is more labor resources. You write that, right? Write an explanation here. So here also you say when there is a natural disaster, the capital, the labor gets destroyed. As a result, the factor endowment falls. So therefore, PPC shifts inwards. And so that you all have to write. Okay, so then number 3, destruction of capital resources due to a, again, number 3, use of unutilized rural resources in the production due to the expansion of a road network. Natural disaster, is it a short-term concept? So it may be short-term, but what happens in natural disaster? The amount of, right, remember, this comes from your basic here, right? Whether a PPC will shift or does not shift will depend on 2 factors. It will depend on the factor endowment, right? The factor endowment, that is how much of factors of production you have, and the factor productivity, right? So PPC is showing you the maximum amount of goods you can produce. No? So only if, right, how to identify whether it's a shift or a point move. Exactly. Now this is where it comes from. It comes from your basic knowledge here, right? The PPC is showing you the maximum possible goods that can be produced. In other words, it is showing you the potential output, right? So only if these change, only if the factor endowment, in other words, the amount of factors of production you have, right? If that changes, or the productivity of these factors of production change, only then the PPC will shift inwards or outwards. Now, if you look at the first one, right, now this comes from I know your unit 1 PPC things, right? So factor endowment, you have land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship, right? So if this amount increases, your PPC will shift outwards. If this amount decreases, your PPC will shift inwards. So what is happening here in the first one? They are saying significant number of professionals who had been in foreign countries, they are returning back to Sri Lanka. So the amount of labor is increasing. So when labor is increasing, that's why you're shifting it to the right. If you look at the second one, destruction of capital resource, capital is decreasing. So you're shifting to the left, right? So only if the factor endowment, that is how much of factors of production you have, and the productivity of those factors, only if those change, your PPC will shift inwards or outwards. It comes from that basic there. Okay. Then number 3, use of unutilized rural resources in the production due to the expansion of road network. Now, are our factors of production increasing? Is the productivity changing? No. This is simply we had some unemployed people, unemployed resources. Now, because there are proper roads and all of that, we are using those. So how do we show this? How do we show the third one? So third one, you have to show it. They're moving towards a point to the PPC. So you have a PPC. You can show a point like this, and then you can show they're moving towards the PPC. Now they're increasing their resources, right? So that is what you can do. Okay, so for 3B, yeah, 3B, can we show one axis as capital resource or axis as conceived resource and show a partial decline only in capital resource axis? I don't think you have to do that. I don't think that's what the answer says, right? That's not what the answer says. Not really. So capital resources. Now we're talking about goods, no, right? So on the third question, B part, right? Discussion of capital resources. We're talking about capital resources. We are not talking about capital goods here, right? So capital resources are destroyed means the whole PPC will shift to the left. Don't put that axis there and there. Okay, don't do that. Okay, second point should be on the PPC, not on the PPC, moving towards the PPC, because they have never said full employment. If they said if you are fully employed, then you can be on the PPC. But they have never mentioned the fact that you're fully employed here. They're saying you're using some unutilized resource. So the level of unemployment is decreasing. So you're moving towards the PPC, but not on the PPC. Okay. Then the D, the rapid expansion of tourism industry in comparison to the garment industry. What can you do? So here you have to label your two axes, right? So you draw this, right? So you can have a PPC. Maybe let's say this one is garment, right? And this one is tourism. And they say rapid expansion of the tourism industry in comparison to the garment. So garment expands a little, tourism expands by a lot. So something like this. Okay. So both have to expand. They are not saying only tourism is expanding. They are saying both are expanding, but the tourism expansion is higher. That is what they are saying. So that's why the PPC shifts more to the right in the tourism sector there, right? So you can, if you show something like that, you would get your marks. Okay. Explain the third one. Okay, so third one you can, okay, third one. So third one says use of unutilized rural resources. So that means earlier your resources were unutilized. In a rural area, the resources were not used. So you were in a situation of unemployment, right? So you were in a point inside the PPC. Now you're using that now because there is an expansion of road networks, maybe to that rural area. Now they have built roads. As a result, you can go to that rural area. So therefore, what happens? So therefore, those resources are also now getting utilized. They are using that. So then you're moving towards the PPC, because on the PPC is full employment. So this is unemployment. Now the level of unemployment has fallen. You're using your resources more now. That is what is happening in the third one, right? And then that. Okay, how to explain the last one? So last one, there is no big explanation. Remember, this explanation, they give you 1 mark per diagram, 1 mark per explanation. Explanation, you simply have to write about 2 lines about this. So here you can say what is happening, that the garment industries, both industries are expanding, therefore the PPC is shifting to the right, but the tourism industry is expanding rapidly, so therefore the growth in that industry is much higher. Then there is more questions. Recession situation, will the PPC shift? No, recession PPC will not shift. If it was tourism increases, will it be a point moving on the PPC? No. So if it is an expansion of tourism, that means maybe there is a growth in the tourism industry. So maybe because there is more resources in the tourism industry or something, then you have to expand only the tourism. PPC will shift there. Right? So don't think too much. We'll be doing more questions, but your fundamental basic comes from this. That is where a lot of students mess up. If you are not aware of the basics, so anyone who came to my revision class, go watch unit 1 recording the moment I taught this. I spent like a lot of time teaching you all this part, right? So any other teacher also would definitely would have taught that, right? So check when your teacher taught you a PPC, right? he would have told you, he or she would have told you, the PPC will shift only for two reasons, right? The determinants of PPC, that is where this part comes from. The determinants of PPC is the factor endowment and the factor productivity. That is how much of factors of production you have and what is the productivity of those factors of production. Only if that changes, the PPC will shift. If not, the PPC will not shift. Right? So based on that, you all can answer more questions. So even on now we have unit 1 papers. Today's paper also I think had a question, right? I can't remember exactly. Did today's paper that I sent, did that have a PPC question? Yes, no? I think it had. On part 2? Yeah? Yeah, it has, right? Part 2, question number 4. Number 1, 4, it says, assume a country produces two goods, namely rice and sugar, and then do this. So try doing that, right? I'll send in the answers, right? Then you all can correct and you all can learn from that. Due to changes in technology, won't PPC shift? PPC will shift because when technology changes, the factor productivity changes. The factor productivity changes. So people are now more productive. As a result, PPC will shift outwards, right? So have a good understanding that comes from that. Okay, then moving on, right? We'll do this question and we'll wrap things for today. And I'll do the rest probably on, I'll say Sunday night, right? Because I want to finish it off as well, because we can start unit 2 on Wednesday. Okay, if not, I can do it on Wednesday. I can drag it a bit, but I want to finish this off. Okay, so question number 4, a good question. The combinations of good X and Y which can be produced in an economy under given technology with full utilization of existing resources are given in the table below. So you have product combinations A, B, C, D, E, F. Calculate the opportunity cost between different product combinations A, B, B, C, C, D, D, E, E, F. Okay, so it's an easy thing. What is the equation for opportunity cost? Right, so if you're calculating, exactly. So opportunity cost here, right, part A, opportunity cost is equal to your foregone amount, right, foregone units divided by your gained units, right? So gained units. Now see if you're going from one point to another point. Now according to this equation, when you're going from A to B, right, when you're going from A to B, how much of goods are you foregoing? How much of goods are you gaining? Think. When you're going from A to B, you're increasing which good? You're increasing X, no? X earlier was 0. Now you're making 20. So you're gaining X. You're gaining X. You're giving up Y. How much of Y are you giving up? You're giving up 10 units of Y, right? Your foregone is 10. Your gained is 20. So 10 divided by 20. 10 divided by 20, 0.5. That is the opportunity cost. 0.5 units of what? Y. To get 20 units of X, to increase 20 units of X, you're giving up 10 units of Y. So to get 1 unit of X, you're giving up 0.5 units of Y. So then B to C, you're going from B to C, what is your opportunity cost? You're gaining 20 more units of X. You're giving up 15 units of Y. So 15 divided by 20. So 15 divided by 20, 0.75. 0.75 Y. We are going from C to D. When you're going from C to D, what is happening? You're getting 20 more, right? And you're giving up another 20. 125 is becoming 105. So 20 divided by 20. That's equal to 1 unit of Y. When you're going from D to C, sorry, not D to C, D to E. Okay, second, you're going from D to E, then what is happening? You're giving up from 105, you're going to 70. You're giving up 35, right? You're giving up 35, and then you're getting how much? You're getting 20. So 35 divided by 20 is 1.75. Oh, very sure. Yes. Okay, 1.75. And then finally, when you go from E to F, right? Going from E to F, what is the opportunity cost? You're giving up 70, you're getting 20. 70 divided by 20, 3.5. So this is a situation of increasing opportunity cost. Can you see? The opportunity cost when you're moving from each point, when you're increasing X by 20, 20, 20, 20, 20, the amount of Y that you're giving up keeps on increasing. Okay, can you tell this using in terms of? So, okay, in terms of when you're increasing X, right? When you're increasing X by 20 units, right? You're giving up Y, 10 units of Y. So to get 20 units of X, you're giving up 10 units of Y. So the opportunity cost of getting 1 unit of X is how much? 0.5. When you move from B to C, you're increasing X again. So to increase X by another 20 units, what is your opportunity cost? It's 15 units. So to increase it by 1 unit is 0.75. That is how it goes, as if I'm giving it in terms of another thing. Okay, if you all have another class, guys, you all can leave, no issues. But I'll finish this and wrap it up. Okay, so that is that story. Okay, you'll get 2 marks there. Then the last one. According to the information given in the table above, will there be an opportunity cost when the economy shifts from producing 40 units of X to 60 units, 40 units of X and 60 units of Y to 60 units of X and 80 units of Y? Give reasons for your answer. Actually, there is no opportunity cost here, right? So if you can draw this now from the table, sometimes it can be very a little hard to figure out. But if you can draw this, right? If you can plot this on a PPC, you can easily figure that out. Do we have to say opportunity cost in terms of Y? Why are we saying opportunity cost in terms of Y? Because when you're going from A to B, B to C, C to D, we are increasing X. We are giving up Y. That is why I'm giving opportunity cost in terms of Y. Because I'm giving up Y. Right? So opportunity cost is based on what good you're giving up. Right? So when you're going from A to B, B to C, you're increasing X, giving up Y. That is why I'm saying 0.5 Y to get there. Right? So this point will actually not have opportunity cost. It's a little hard for me to draw, but you all can also draw. Let's say this is good X, this is good Y, right? So the two extremes are, you can have good X, you can have 100. Here you can have 150, right? You all can mark the points. They're saying 40 units of X, right? 40 units. So 40 units of X and 60 units of Y. So at a point here, right? So they're saying this point. They're saying if you are at this point, 40 units of X and 60 units of Y, if you go to 60 units of X and 80 units of Y, somewhere around here, is there an opportunity cost? If you plot this graph, it's a very easy thing to figure out. There is actually no opportunity cost, because why? There is a situation of unemployment. It's just a movement towards the PPC. There is no opportunity cost. Are you giving up anything in order to increase X here, right? So think, you don't even have to draw the PPC. 40 units of X, 60 units of Y. To go to 60 units of X, you're increasing X. X went from 40 to 60, right? You're increasing X also, you're increasing Y also. Y is also going from 60 to 80. Is there opportunity cost? No. There will be an opportunity cost, right? There will be an opportunity cost when what happens? Only when you increase the production of one good, right? To increase the production of one good, if you have to give up another good only, there is an opportunity cost. But here there is no situation like that. No, you're increasing good X also 40 to 60. You're increasing Y also 60 to 80. You're going from somewhere like this according to this diagram, right? So this is not there is no opportunity cost here. There is, because of a situation of unemployment, there is no opportunity cost. If you want to reasons as a reason, you can even draw this PPC and explain that story. Okay, simply using unemployed resources. X-axis and Y-axis should be changed. Why should the X-axis and the Y-axis should be changed? X-axis and Y-axis, why should that be changed? This is good X and good Y, right? I'm not talking about X-axis and Y-axis. I can put X and Y anywhere I want. There is no. Did they say that good x has to be in this axis? No. So there is nothing like that. This is not x axis, y axis. This is good x and good y. Right. So you draw it any side. That's okay. Okay. So that is that story. Right. So on A and calculating this and doing this. So what I want you all to do for now, right? Okay, listen very carefully, right? So Sunday will probably have the next class. I'll confirm that in the group very soon, right? What I want you all to do is, right, go through these papers 2011, 12, 13, 14, right? 5 questions we did. Go through this question very carefully. Yes, you can say there is zero opportunity cost. No opportunity cost means zero opportunity cost, right? Because you're using unemployed resources. The reason for the last one. So the reason for the last one is this. Recent class Okay, reason for the last one is because you are using unemployed resources, right? Because your resources are unemployed, because you're inside the PPC and now moving out, there is no opportunity cost. Okay, revision class cover up. There is last Saturday I didn't do. The class will be on this Friday, right? I think I informed that on the group, right? So that class will be on Friday, right? Apart from that, I want you all to go through what we did and also do the papers that I send you all, right? Now you all put in effort and made the papers. Now let's do the papers, right? So, right, there's actually a lot of papers. It's a really good number, right? If you all can do that, you all are well set. So what you all do daily, right? Try to allocate, let's say 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and try to do those papers, right? Do it. You all should be okay. Recording of this, yes, I'll try to upload if the recording is fine. If there is no issue with the recording, I'll make a class and upload that for the revision students. Revision thing is on Friday. Any questions? What is meant by negative demand at zero price? So negative demand at zero price means this comes with an economic bad. Economic, usually when the price is zero, the demand is a positive amount. If you look at the demand curve, right? If you look at the demand curve, right? Demand curve, when the price is zero, this is the price axis. When the price is zero, this is a positive amount, right? But for a economic bad, it will not be like this. For an economic bad at price zero, you will not have a positive demand. You can't draw a demand curve there, but you will, no one even at zero price, no one would want to buy it. That is what in an economic bad they say. There's negative demand at zero price. No one would even want to buy, even if the price is zero. That is that part. Friday the class will be at from 7 to 9. So, but don't worry, as revision students, if you all, even if you all miss, that is on Zoom, right? That recording will definitely be there. Even if you just after class, even you can come and watch. That recording is there. So don't worry about the time there. Okay. Any other questions? Yes. Any other questions? Few doubts again. Yeah. So revision students, the recording will be there. I know now. Revision also there's around 40 students, right? Obviously, someone will have something on some day, you know. So I went with the day I am free. So even if you miss it, don't worry. After the class, I will upload the recording. So you can watch the recording. If you have doubts, you can drop me a text on WhatsApp and clear it, right? So don't worry too much about that. Okay, there's an interrelationship between time and labor. With time, labor is also foregone. Where did you see this? There is an interrelationship. Okay, I've also not. Okay, this gets stuck. Oh god. Give me a second. Okay, wait. I'll so if there is no any other questions, I'll stop the recording. We'll see the recording. If it's there, then I'll answer your question.